everybody, I'm Laura from kittymakesit.com. Congratulations on making it to day 5, pretty much the last day of the So Long for the Mama Can Do It Peplum pattern. So today is all about hemming. I have 2 separate machines, a serger and a cover stitch. So I sort of divided the work based on assembling the pattern with my serger versus anything that I do with my cover stitch, including the top stitching. I'm going to go ahead and call hemming. So today is day 5. Day 1, we printed the pattern with layers. I used 8.5 by 11 paper. We assembled that with glue stick. And then day 2, we did some adjustments to the pattern. Full bust adjustment, sway back adjustment for adult women, height or blending sizes for children, and grading sizes for adults or children. Then day 3, we did the basic assembly, so shoulder seams, side seams, attaching the arms, and attaching the neck binding. Day 4, we took a pause and we did some hacks. I showed you how to do a flounce sleeve, a lifted up nursing access, to make the women's size have a full length dress circle skirt, and then another version of a hack with a snap down placket that's also great for nursing access. So today is the hem day. Hopefully we can all meet up here no matter what version or hack that you're doing. So for hemming and top stitching, I like to do a few different ways depending on what I'm doing. So one thing you might do is while you still have your sleeve in flat, you haven't attached it to your bodice yet, you could press a memory hem into your sleeve and into the bottom of the skirt if you wanted. Just press under a 1/2 inch and then iron this. Then you'll lay it back out so that you can sew it, but you'll still have a line here, and that'll be your memory hem. So if you've done that, at this point all you're going to do is fold it on that line and hem. In my case, I didn't do that. So I'm going to just take my hem gauge. I'll be honest, usually I just eye it, but I want to make sure I show you kind of the right way. So this is usually less than $5. And I like that it has a little marker. So you just put it on the spot where you're going to want to be. That way you don't have to look at the measurements every time. So then fold under. I like to start at the seam. Make sure that you're right about where you want it to be, and then put your first pin. Now you can keep going around, checking really quick that you're still where you want to be, and pinning. If I'm working with something really slippery, like swim or ITY or something like that, another trick that I like to do is use wash away wonder tape. So this product here, it's a double stick tape. So what you can do is just tape that to one side, the very edge, depending on your thickness. So if you have a 1/2 inch hem, you would probably want to get 1/2 inch wonder tape. I only have a 1/4 inch here. That's what they have at the store. But you put it right up on the edge of your fabric, and that way you just fold over and it's perfectly measured for you, and it's double stick so it stays in place. You don't even really need to use pins. Another method you could do if you wanted to use your serger is that most sergers have a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you could serge around the edge of your sleeve or skirt hem. Don't take off any fabric, just serge right around the edge. That makes you a 1/4 inch. So then you can fold that over and you'll be at your 1/2 inch. That makes for a clean edge that's not going to ravel. Knit fabric doesn't usually unravel anyway, but it would give you some extra protection on the edges. And then it perfectly measures where it is that you're going to sew over. Another similar trick would be if you wanted to use interfacing. The interfacing from Joann's is very affordable, and you can just cut it into strips of exactly a 1/4 inch, and then you would iron it on to the edge and fold over, depending on how big of a hem you're taking. I believe the recommended hem is a 1/2 inch on these, so you'd want to cut that to a 1/2 inch. So my method is really just to fold over and pin. So I'm going to do that on both the sleeves and the bottom of the skirt. And then you'll see that I am going to run that through my cover stitch. And I'm just catching the 3, I use 3 needles, so 3 straight lines on top, and then there will be a loop on the bottom. And I aim to have the middle needle hit the edge where I folded over, so that my loop goes around the unfinished edge. And if I did have fabric that would ravel, that would lock that in for me because it would be underneath the looper. So the other thing that we're going to do today that I'm considering hemming, but is really top stitching, is finishing the binding. So the binding we attached to the neckline by putting it right sides together and sewing it on. So there's a raw edge here that pops up. So in order to finish the binding, you need to fold it over and top stitch it. There's a little bit of a trick here that takes a little bit of muscle memory to get going with, but once you have it, it's really, really simple. So you're going to stand up your binding and neckband. This is my back seam where I also have a little fabric loop that serves as my tag. Press the seam allowance up. Fold the binding down so that the seam allowance is encased in your binding. Then you'll put a pin there. And I just keep going around and doing that, and I pin really often. Fold it up, flip it up and over. I promise it's easier to do when you're not having to watch it in the camera. Then pin. Now when you top stitch, using a twin needle, a zigzag on your regular sewing machine, or a cover stitch, you'll just go around the neckline. And I again like to aim for my middle needle to be right in this ditch where we attached the binding to the neckline, because that will encase the raw edge on the back. I narrowed my binding a little bit because I don't like to trim. So my binding is actually half the width that the pattern calls for. But the pattern calls for you to have plenty of room to maneuver, depending on how much of a seam allowance you took here. And then if you have fabric that is exposed here after you've top stitched, you can just come around with scissors and trim that off. It's going to be inside and nobody's going to see it. And again, knit fabric doesn't typically unravel. So once you top stitch your neckline, hem your sleeves and hem the bottom of the skirt, you'll be all set, and it's time to show off your peplum. Here's the one that I made during this sew along. It's Santa Fe double brushed poly from Amelia Lane Designs. There's several others that I made doing various hacks, but the one I made with Santa Fe with the gathered skirt is the one that I made per the pattern for this sew along. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this was helpful or even just fun to watch. You can always find more of me on kittymixit.com, and I hope you'll find me for my next sew along. See you later. Have a good one.